All right, good morning, everyone. And thank you so much for joining the webinar today that we're going to talk about our exciting new opportunity. I'm going to give you a little bit of background. Again, I'm Tricia Purdon. I'm the director for the Office of Rural Prosperity. And today we have with us Carrie Folletti, who's our grassroots strategy developer, and then Sheena Thomas, who is with us. She just started about a month ago, and she oversees our Rural Opportunity Zone program, which is now a part of the Office of Rural Prosperity. So welcome, and thank you all for joining us today. Just a little bit of background. I wanted to give a shout out to the Kansas Sampler Foundation, because without them, this wouldn't be existing at all. They came up with the original idea. So thank you, Marcy, and your team. This was one of the recommendations that came out of the Power Up and Go report. Marcy and the team that was part of the Power Up and Go project with the Kansas Sampler Foundation interviewed so many rural Kansans ages 18 to 40 to find out why they're wanting to live in rural Kansas, what the challenges that those communities were facing, and what was the momentum or the thought process that made them want to stay in that rural community, and even the challenges that made them think, well, maybe we should leave our rural community. And so this was one of the ideas, that let's create a program called Rural Champions that would pay for someone in one of these rural communities that didn't currently have the capacity to take on the single project that everyone in town agreed would make the big difference. It would move them forward. It would move the needle forward and help get things moving. And so as Marcy and I were going through the Power Up and Go reports last summer, this one really stood out to us. And so after going through all the work that Carrie did with ED 101 and 201, we knew that this was the next step of that phase of growing capacity in rural communities. We were lucky enough to partner with the Patterson Family Foundation, who also agreed with us that this could be the thing that moved the needle forward. So they also came in as part of this and helped pay for the salaries for these 12 champions across Kansas. So we're excited to roll this program out and to tell you more about this program, to help answer your questions and walk you through this project. The goal at the end of this is that you will all have a project at the end that we will help fund partially. Hopefully we have some mini grants. We're still kind of working on some of that, but we will have some funding to help you at least kick it off, if not completely cover some of the costs if they're small. So with that, I'm going to kick it off to Carrie, and she's going to kind of walk us through the program, walk through some of the frequently asked questions that we've already received. But do not hesitate. If you have a question, pop it into the chat, raise your hand, put yourself, we can highlight you on the video if needed. So you can tell us a little bit about what you guys are thinking of if you have questions or comments. So with that, the person who's going to be spearheading this whole thing, Carrie Folletti.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. I was so excited. We have almost 170 registered for this webinar. So I'm just so excited that there is so much interest and hopefully some creativity on how we can make some impacts in our rural communities. So we'll just kick off with some of the details and then open for questions. So as you know, applications are open right now. Applications are due by September 16th. So hopefully that's giving us enough time that we can work with anybody that has questions during that application process. In the application, you're really going to, talk about what's been happening in your community, what's been some things that have been holding you back, and really how you see a champion making the difference in progress on a project. In the process, there is a match requirement, but anything that would be an in-kind is matched, but we really encouraging some match wages. So this would be 20 hours a week, but thinking that some of these are going to need probably more time. So some things to be thinking about in your application is considering additional matching in wages. Another thing is if you have already identified a champion for your project, that would definitely be a benefit in an application. And your plan for community involvement. So if you just have an idea that's just a single person, you know, that's probably not going to score as high. But if you have some community input or the work that you've been doing to help build that application to tell the story. So those are kind of some areas that are going to, when we're looking at scoring, that'll strengthen applications. So just kind of be thinking broad like that.
And Carrie, yeah, this doesn't have to be something that you just initiated. So let's say that 2 or 3 years ago, your community worked on a strategic plan and you identified that childcare is the biggest need our community has, and we really need a childcare center. We know that we are springing this on you. So if you've already got a plan in place somewhere the last few years and that has not been fully completed, that is something you can still use. So don't think that you're limited to coming up with a whole new thing and then you got to put everyone in town together in the next 30 days. That's not what our intent was.
Yes, very, very good point. And as we kind of talk here in the timeline, then the first few months of this project are really for the champion to work and we're going to hone in on the project, the timeline, the process. So the so the project doesn't kick off day one. So the plan is to work with the champions. We'll be helping build the resources around, build the team around the project, and then the project kickoff in January. So we have 12 months for the champion. It'll be October 22 to October 23. And then with a project completion by December 23. Unless construction's involved, and then just construction would complete by 2023 kickoff. So those are kind of questions and things we'll work with each as we go through on specifics. So in January 2023, we will kick off these projects. For each of the communities, because a part of this is also building that playbook or the roadmap that we can use to share with other communities. So kind of even just using Trisha's example, if it's a childcare, then as we work with the community and we build the resources, we build the team, then as we go through this year, we're going to work with that community. So a social media plan will be part of each project so that we can be sharing progress. If others that are working on these types of projects can be following along as well. But we're also going to do some reporting and tracking so we can use these opportunities to build those roadmaps for use after these projects are complete. And then
do you want to elaborate on that a little bit too? Sure. One of the goals too is that even if you're not selected for a champion, that at the end of this, we're going to be compiling all the data, the resources, the path that these champions went down, so that you can replicate this in your community. So at the end of this, you're going to be able to see, here's champion 1, 2, 3, and here's their project, here's their path, here's how they got their project accomplished. Our goal is to create basically 12 guidebooks for 12 different issues, or 6 if people duplicated, whatever that number is. But that way everyone can follow this path and duplicate it. And our hope is that this is not a one-time thing, that we are going to hopefully do this again, with further enhancements for our office, and hopefully other foundations and other organizations will help us accomplish that. But that's kind of our goal. So
good. Okay. Any questions in there so far?
No.
Okay, very good.
Oh, Mike Rowe had a question.
Is it something real quick, or do we want to wait till?
We'll just wait till the end.
The end. Okay. Very good. So eligible applicants. So there's 95 counties that qualify with the population of 40,000 or below. And in those, the nonprofits, cities, counties, community foundations, trying to make it that any of these organizations that are working on community economic development related issues are eligible to apply. When you go through the application, we have the other option. So if there's something that we don't have listed and you want to know if you qualify, definitely let us know and we'll work through those processes. For the champion, I mean, it's just kind of one question I've gotten several times that I'll just address real quick right now. So it can be an existing employee, but this employee would need to transition to working on this champion project. And that's kind of why we're also encouraging some matching wages as well. So they can really be concentrating and working on this. So we're not really seeing this as something that somebody that's got a full-time job already to just add this to the list. We really want to build the partnership with somebody who can be a dedicated resource on this particular project. So maybe if you had somebody that's maybe a part-time or an intern that works for you, but this could be really something that would solidify that position and make it a full-time and really give them a project. That's kind of what we're thinking, or a volunteer that has been volunteering with your organization or through a strategic planning process or something. It's something to pull that person in to work on the project. Anything to add on that one?
Yeah, if you got alumni that, maybe they're in their final year of college and they want to do their, part-time internship while they're finishing up college. They're a recent graduate and want their first-time job and they want to move back to your town. These are the people that we're looking to help you guys get some.
Okay. We had talked about the match a little bit. So if the community can provide computer, workspace, travel, meeting registrations, because there are some that are going to be required for the champion to attend. So just kind of being creative, but a lot of the questions really come down to types of projects. So probably where we'll probably get most of our questions today, I would anticipate. But we wanted to leave this open enough because every community is so unique. So really just be, creatively thinking of what's needed in your community. We always talk, childcare housing, but that's not necessarily everything. So arts, beautification, placemaking, entrepreneurship, maker spaces are a really big topic that communities just haven't had a lot of ability to focus on. So, if you've been needing housing, but you just haven't had time to do a hat, do the development, do the paperwork, that's really required to fill out some of these applications and being able to aggressively apply for grants and programs, something like that, where that extra resource of a person can really help make an impact on a community.
Okay, I'm going to answer some of these questions because I think they're relevant to where we're at right now.
Because I think really we can kick into questions because a lot of the program details. So let's just.
So first, if we're awarded a grant for improving housing stock in our community, what does the end result look like? Would the project be building a plan for future development or actually rehabbing or constructing homes? You could do both. I mean, that's kind of what we're thinking. I mean, we know that you're not going to finish the homes in 12 months. Like that's not possible. But our thought is that this champion can help you guys create the plan for your development, apply for MIH, apply for work with your investors to apply for the housing tax credits, the new programs that just were rolled out. That could be a project for them. And at the end of that 12-month period, you have your plan in place and you're doing your groundbreaking. That's eligible.
Yeah, and kind of like what we've been talking on several things as well. If your community's always wanted a land bank as part of your housing, this champion can work on that process. If they need, get some training and education, that would be matched, and then they can work on that land bank project and going through those steps.
Or you already have a land bank and you want to start flipping houses, you can hire your champion to help coordinate the bidding process and getting those contractors in to get those houses, create a volunteer pool that helps rehab those houses. Whatever fits your community best, this is really meant to be completely flexible for you. Okay, so the next question, does payroll run through the applying organization or the state office? It's going to run through your organization. It's not going to run through the state office. Trust me, you don't want to do that. It takes a long time. And you can hire them as a 1099 contractual or an employee, whatever works for your organizational structure. again, we're trying to be as flexible as we possibly can here.
And it's
So-
going to be on a quarterly basis. So it'll basically be that reimbursement. So at the end of the first 4 months, you'll turn in the report to show what expenses were paid, show some receipts, and then we'll pay that out on a quarterly basis.
Yeah. And just keep in mind that you need to make sure you tell that champion that this is a grant funded position, that, you know, when the grant completes, you know, they potentially would have to find either other employment, or hopefully you guys will hire them on as a permanent employee. All right, what if you have a project that need help finding our world champion?
As part of the application, there is a question. If you don't have your person selected yet, what is your plan for making that selection? So kind of, you know, where you're at in that process, and we might be able to help as well. But that isn't, if you don't, well, kind of like Tricia said, this is, you know, this is new, this is kind of sprung on folks. So you might have some, but if you don't, there is that part of that application where you're going to outline your process of how you are going to get a champion selected.
And the same thing, I think the next question is about finding the funds for the match. It's 10%, and a lot of that can be in kind. So, 25%, sorry.
Yeah,
I'm getting all the grants confused that we're working on right now. 25%. So you provide them a computer, you give them an office space. How much would that office space rent for if you were going to rent it out? The desk, the furniture, that's the kind of thing that these champions are going to need. All of that can be counted as in kind and can count towards your 25% match. It doesn't have to be a 100% cash match. So hopefully that answers your question. I would also talk to your area community foundations, see if any of them might be willing to partner with you. They can maybe move a little faster than a municipality can to come up with that kind of funding.
And kind of like training, if it's somebody that needs to go to a training or travel, any of those kind of expenses. But the grant is roughly over the year is $20,000. So we're talking about $5,000, and that would be that $5,000 broke out over that quarterly basis. So that's kind of the rough numbers of where we would be looking at for that.
Yep.
So it's not an upfront match. It can go as.
Yep. As they report, it'll be a quarterly reimbursement. Yep. On that ratio.
You had a question about would a recreation complex or funding a position to help improve our local museum fall under this? Again, it's going to go back to what your community deems as a critical need that you've identified. So if that's something that came up that is the linchpin that's going to make your community thrive, and that's what everyone is saying is missing in your town, sure, let's go ahead and do that. We'll surround you with a resource team that'll help you get that accomplished.
I think we just did the amount.
What are we expecting to pay the champion? We are paying $20 an hour, 20 hours a week. That's what the grant is for. So that is the pay rate. If you guys feel like that's too high for your community and you can get them for $15 an hour, then we'll adjust that to make that fit, and you'll get a little bit more money on our end to cover that champion. So
a consultant, if somebody's already working with a consultant, I'm not sure that would qualify, because that's not going to be a community member who is working in there. So I can see that if you are, could it be match if a community? That's an interesting question. I haven't had that one posed yet.
I would say consultant is not, unless that consultant has an intern that wants to come work for you guys, then no. I mean, that it really needs to be someone that's only focused on this project and not anything else.
Representing that particular community.
Yeah, and they need to be representing that community itself.
501c3, yes.
The applicant is a state registered nonprofit with 501c3 pending. Are they eligible? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, and then Marcy suggested that we do a Zoom to help find ideas about how to go about finding a world champion. Totally up for that.
We can do that.
Totally
can
can do
definitely do that. Marcy, we may be calling on you.
And then could payroll taxes, workers' comp benefits count as match? Absolutely. Is there an option for the champion to work from home? Absolutely.
Up to the community.
I've been the leader in our project and would most likely be the champion, but I am a stay-at-home mom. That's exactly what we're hoping to get.
Yeah. Yep.
Rachel or Rebecca, sorry, I can't read that far. It's tiny font. Yeah, that's exactly what we were hoping to get. So you're good.
And if the community provides you with your work at home equipment, those type of things, then there's the match. Oh, we're gonna have a team from Commerce, ORP, and some community development partners are gonna be the review. And then depending on some of the types of projects, we may bring in some others. So if it's somebody you want to do childcare, we may bring in some extra childcare partners that we work really closely with in building programs.
And then someone had a question about the 40,000 population requirement. Butler County has 66,000, but our community is rural on the east side. Absolutely. Yeah, that's fine. Just apply as the community instead. I think that's fine.
Regional project.
A regional project. Yeah, we've already had a question and some communities that want to work together. They're all the rural communities, but the one entity is going to have to sign the contract with the state of Kansas. So however, those communities need to make sure to work that together. One will have to be the lead and the key contact and the applicant for that group of communities.
Yep. If you're trying to decide between two projects, you can do two projects. That's fine. The only caveat is you have to remember, and we will be pretty strict about this, the project must be completed in 12 months. Now we're going to give you 3 months to figure it out. So your project date start will be January 1. If you can get two projects done by December 31st of 2020, what year is it?
By the end of 2023.
You're good.
But also be considering, we're going to really try our hardest to spread these. We only have 12, so we will be wanting to spread these across the state as much as we can. Yeah. So if it's a rural community with 2, you might really want to think about if one is more important than the other, because you can submit 2, absolutely, but we're gonna.
Yeah, but it's gonna have to be that champion has to get them both done in 12 months. We will not be giving any leeway on that at all. So just make sure that's very clear. But let's say that they go hand in hand, that you need a housing plan to get in place, but you also critically need a childcare center, and you've already got all the groundwork done for those 2, and you think you can get them both done, more the merrier. But just keep that in mind that we will be very strict on the timeline, just because that's how much money and time we have.
That isn't a project later, but could be promoted to a champion position. As long as they are working, if they're an existing employee, they have to transition to this project.
Yeah, fully for this project. So if you're willing to help subsidize the other half of their salary and keep them at full time that way, Jim, if you want to bring someone up that's currently an administrative assistant, or maybe it was just someone who was doing fiscal analysis and you want to upgrade them to and get them into economic development or community development, that's fine. But just know that, again, this position is only funded for a year. So you'll have to make a plan for that.
And we are selecting 12 champions.
Yep, 12 is the limit. Would senior housing, living, nursing home qualify? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Again, we are completely flexible. We gave you guys these guidelines because we anticipated this might be what we saw based on the Power Up and Go report from what we had seen from everyone. But you are all individuals and all individual communities. And so you define what is most important to you.
So the grant for the champion will run from October to October, but knowing, so those first 3 months are really putting that plan, a solid plan together. So the contract with the champion would end the funding in October 23, but we're saying as long as the project, so if there's some things that will be completed after that, that is through December 23.
Yeah. We didn't want to leave you guys hanging at the beginning either, but we knew that it's going to be hard to determine your project before the application even closes. So we wanted to be able to give you guys a little bit of grace. So you can determine how that flexes within that 3-month period, but we will start paying starting in October.
And then for the timeline as well, if construction's involved, because like I said, we're leaving the creativity to you on projects, but if construction's involved, then the construction would need to start by the end of 23 and be completed within a year. And a lot of those are going to be, we completely understand there may be some case by case, but that's where, that's why we'll be working really closely with the champions. And then if you have any questions, definitely holler.
And yes, it really, we only got enough funding,
Projects.
grant funding to
Yep.
support 12 champions for 12 months. So 12 communities will be picked. That's all we were able to get in our budget. This is a pilot. So, and make sure this is clear. This is a pilot. If this works, hopefully we'll get funded again and we can do more. But we had to prove to our Lieutenant Governor and the Patterson Family Foundation and everyone else that this project, this idea, this could work. So hopefully this will work. Okay, I think we're good with questions for now. We can move on to the other stuff that we had in here.
Okay, there's in the Q&A, is
Oh.
there a minimum size for a participating community? What is the anticipated salary? Okay, so what is the anticipated
There's not a minimum size for the community. You can be a town of 20 people. We're fine. You're rural.
And like we said, the grant is $20 an hour, 20 hours a week. And then, so if a community is going to be matching, then it would be just kind of wherever they're going to be paying that at.
Yep. So just to be
Yep,
clear, the project
correct.
need to be completed by December of 2023. Yes, December 31st, 2023. Your project must be completed, or if it's a construction project, the groundbreaking had to have occurred before December 2023. Okay. My understanding that this grant helps cover the champion's salary. Will there be any funding with this grant to help fund the project as well? Yes. Right now I have a small amount already budgeted out of the Office of Rural Prosperity's budget. I will know within the next week for sure if that funding has been approved. So we're really hoping that that will be 100% and we'll be able to fund it's not going to be huge, but at least help you guys kind of get things going. So I'll know more what that amount is in the next week or so, and I'll let everyone know what that is. The goal is, though, that once this really kicks off, we're going to be applying for grants from other foundations and other organizations over the next few months to help support these projects too. So once you guys have your projects identified, we can then really go to town and help apply for more grants to support them, and we will help you do that.
And then along with the recording of this webinar is going to be posted and questions will be updated. There's an FAQ tab and any like this information, it'll all get added to that website. And then so I have, we'll email anything to everybody who is registered for today's webinar. So we'll make sure that those that are listening will get that information as well.
Yep. And keep
Yes,
in
thank you,
mind,
Marcy.
so Marcy put in the chat, if you do that historical museum and you want to rehab your historical museum and make yourself a tourist destination, we are going to surround you with every resource partner, one, that you can think of that you want, and two, resource partners that we know you might need. So let's get you in front of Bridget Jobe. Let's make sure that you're in front of the Kansas Historical Society. Let's get you in front of an expert that focuses on whatever it is your museum is about to help you think that through, a design specialist. We're going to surround you with resources to help you make this happen.
I'm putting the link in the chat right now. So that's Commerce, ORP, World Champions.
Okay, so just making sure that you guys understand just some technical things. So the contract will begin in October 2022. Everyone who is selected as a champion will be required to attend the Rural Prosperity Summit on October 17th in Wichita. We're going to be announcing you. You're going to get to come up and say, hey, I am so-and-so from whatever amazing community you're from, and tell the people at our Rural Prosperity Summit if you know what it is, what you're going to be tackling. Also before that, we'll have some sessions to talk to the champions about, what's your preferred social media path? How would you like to document your progress and your change? We understand that some people might be super comfortable with TikTok and some people might be super comfortable with just writing a blog. Whatever fits that champion the best is how we want to do it, but we want regular updates so that we can ultimately create that guidebook at the end. There will also be a session in Wichita at the end of October that they'll be required to attend, and that will be for a leadership training with KLC. So just keep that in mind as you're planning your trip. Okay, contracts will run, we already touched on this, through October 2023. Again, we can be flexible if you need to adjust that somewhere. But your construction projects must at least begin before the end of 2023. And then those construction projects must be completed by the end of 2024. So get moving if you're thinking construction.
Yes, definitely.
I think, what else did we have on here?
So probably as the application timeline. So like I mentioned, applications are due. They will close at 5 o'clock on Friday, September 16th. And we are going to review those as quickly as possible and hope to have the announcement of the 12 by the end of September. That's a very aggressive timeline. So that's kind of what we're hoping that timeline will be. Question about releasing the rating criteria. I think we can put something together because we've got the application. So yeah, we can definitely do that. So again, be watching on the website. We'll get that posted as soon as we can. If you aren't selected for champion, will you still be held final resources? So resources for the project. So a few months ago, we sent out an email to get just to gather information from our ORP friends across the state about building a resource list. And so we'll continue that. And so, and kind of like Tracy said, so these projects are going to help build these programs, the teams. And then, so if somebody is working on a project, that we can definitely work with that community as well and help link some more resources.
The goal is that, let's say one of the champions is doing the same type of project you want to go on, you will be able to follow along in their progress and duplicate it as they're going through the next 12 months. You don't have to wait for a year to get this data. It's going to be constantly live and on our Facebook page, on our Twitter, on our website. Okay. Any other questions?
Commerce involved.
How is commerce involved? They now have a new placemaking staff member.
Resource.
Yeah, so that's a resource, a member of our resource team. Obviously, Office of Rural Prosperity is part of the Kansas Department of Commerce. We're a division inside of Commerce. We will be heavily using Commerce staff to help with the resource teams that are going to be surrounding these communities. So I would expect if you're working on housing, we're going to be bringing in Randy Speaker, our housing specialist at Commerce. If you're working on placemaking, we're going to be bringing in the new placemaking specialist.
KCAC probably on Sunday,
KCAC,
getting our
Kate,
certification. So yeah, that's just part of that team that we'll just keep building.
Yep. Yeah, this is a
We do
Kansas
that
Department of
lot
Commerce project.
within.
Champions this. Okay. I feel like we covered a lot today. You probably all are pretty overwhelmed with all the information. Just keep in mind that, again, this is intended to be completely flexible. You can adapt this however you need to adapt this. This is our funding. This is Patterson funding. There's not a federal piece of this or anything like that. So we really want to make sure that you all know that we want to be a part of your team. If you have any questions as you're crafting your application and you want to do a touch base with Carrie or myself, or
Let you know
Yep.
there. So
just email Carrie. She'll help you kind of think through this project. I'm sure that I know some of our resource partners are on here as well. I'm sure if you want to
drop me
hash out
an
an
email
idea.
and add them to the list, especially too.
Yep. If you want to be a part of this and you are a resource partner, please send your information on to Carrie so that we can get you listed as a resource partner for some of these. So we're really excited. We hope that this really works. Have we applied for the USDA or HAC placemaking project? No, we did not apply for it this year. From what we went through and we understood from the last time we applied for that, it really needed to be a fairly it needed to be much bigger than just the state of Kansas.
Well, the USDA
So.
placemaking, the University of Kentucky, we're gonna have them in at the Rural Prosperity Summit. We're
Yeah.
having Melissa come in so she can talk to us about what University of Kentucky learned. So they did receive that USDA grant, and we're gonna have them in. So kind of excited to hear how that project went for them.
But we are definitely looking at ways we can partner with USDA, but it's kind of a behind the scenes thing that can't really talk about yet. But
Yeah.
we're very grateful that we have an amazing partner that's part of the Kansas Sampler Foundation with Christy Davis as our new director for the state of Kansas for the USDA. And I've told her all about this project, and I think she was going to join us on the call today. So she knows all about this too. And we're grateful for their partnership. So I'm hopeful and excited that they will be one of our partners that we look for to help fund these end projects. So thank you again to Marcy, the Kansas Sampler Foundation, the Patterson Family Foundation. We could not have done this without either of you. And thank you for letting us help create this idea and implement this concept.
They say kind of as we've said, we really tried to leave this flexible, so we can't think of every type of project. So if you've got something we haven't talked about, definitely email us. We'd love to hear what different ideas are out there in the communities across the state.
Yep.
Opportunity. Oh, yeah, excellent. And
Just-
then, yeah, we'll send this link out for the recording to everybody, and it'll be on the website.
We'll drop your email address again in there. Again, don't hesitate to reach out to us. If you're in our neighborhood and you want some face-to-face brainstorming time, our office is in Independence, Kansas. We have a nice big office that you can see now here. Come over and join us. We'll be happy to talk with you. Carrie
And if you need me
lives
to
in
come
Winfield,
out, just
so
give me a call, drop me an email, and we'll see if we can come out. If you want to have a meeting just to discuss something, just let us know. We just want to make sure that we help you guys as much as we can.
yep. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We're so excited to see. Oh, we got one more question. Oh, okay, we got it again. We got it.
Yep, got it.
Okay, so we're so excited for this. We can't wait to see all of your applications. Please do not hesitate to reach us, to call us. I would give you a bit of advice. Be careful with submittable. I think our deadline is 5 p.m. Is that what we put in there?
Yep.
So do not wait to the last minute to submit your application. If you do not hit submit by 5 p.m., it doesn't matter if you've already got your application in the system, it will not let you hit submit. So that deadline is a hard deadline. There's really no way to change it. So please make sure you don't wait to the last minute to submit your
And once you
application.
hit submit, you should get a response saying, thank you for your submission.
Yes.
If you don't get that submission, email me immediately and we will find out what happened so we can fix anything.
Yep.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I'm just excited that there's so many that are excited about the project. I'm just so curious to hear what we come up with and
Yes. And I will make sure I pass on all the thank yous too from you guys to the Patterson Family Foundation. I think they're just as excited about this as we are. So thank you again, everyone. Have a great day. And I can't wait to see everyone's ideas come in.
awesome.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.